CEO of Philea, the Philanthropy Europe Association. Philea as an organization is a new entity. It's a new entity that was built on the legacy of the European Foundation Centre and Daphne. So in that sense, we do have a long history, but as an entity, we are new. And what we do at Philea is that we want to harness the multi-dimensional potential of philanthropy. And we want to do that by helping our members and others from the ecosystem to build knowledge, to provide them learning opportunities on philanthropic practices. We want to help them forge connections and have collaborations in thematic areas of their interest. We want to enable the sector and work with European institutions and others to make sure that barriers for philanthropy are taken away. We are facing really big challenges today. I think of climate degradation, growing inequality, democracy, which continues to be under threat and is increasingly under threat around the world. And I think that philanthropy has a role to take an intersectional approach to these issues and look at it from a whole of society approach. In that context, I think philanthropy really has a role to also partner with others, partner with other sectors, and build bridges with those who can help us find solutions and are at in the driver's seat often of finding solutions for these challenges. I think we've seen also over the past 2 years that we actually have a lot to give in responding to the many challenges. And I guess two things that I feel have been sharpened very much, and we've seen also over the past couple of years, and I'm hoping to see more of, is on the one hand, our ability to both respond to immediate needs and have a longer term approach. That longer term approach is something that makes us stand out compared, for instance, to governments who have to go through electoral cycles. And we've seen really very much within the context of the COVID crisis, but also more recently within the context of the crisis in Ukraine, that we can be what they call very focal. So we have the opportunity, I think, as philanthropy to respond to immediate crisis in line of our own missions and visions, but also addressing the longer term and thinking about longer term consequences of what we see happening today. So I think that's one very strong role that philanthropy has and continues to have. And then another one that I think is equally important is a role that we have, again, as a bridge builder and a facilitator, to stimulate innovation and exploration and to stimulate our partners in developing new solutions for problems that have been out there for quite a few decades, which are becoming more and more existential, and where we as organizations, again, are a space that should stimulate finding new ways of dealing with them. But we've seen philanthropy develop and grow a lot over the past couple of years. So that's really exciting to see. And I think from that perspective, there is a possibility that we may need new staff to come in. We may need new professionals and different talents to really get into the sector and help us move the needle. And I think with that, it will probably be increasingly important to have also people that understand the big problems we're facing out there, climate, declining democracy, issues around inequality. So I think we'll need to have that expertise in-house to really be able to lead and support in developing those solutions. So I think we need a diverse set of professionals within foundations to be able to address the diverse set of issues that society is facing from different perspectives, from both theoretical and practical perspectives. And of course, traditionally, what we see that we need in philanthropy, and I think that will continue to be the case, are people who have a very strong academic or research background, scientists, program managers, but we also need to have really good communicators who are able to deliver strong messages in order to really have in many cases, some of the systemic change that our foundations are trying to achieve. And I think there is still a great amount of value in getting people, among others, with business backgrounds in our organizations. There is also an understanding that business approaches can't be just simply copy-pasted to the nonprofit sector, because it is a different type of engagement, and we need to find where that fluidity allows us to bring those elements in. Some of the soft skills that would be very important would be the ability to listen, the fact of being open-minded, of being bias-free. I think it's important to have people who can see the bigger picture, be strategic about how to approach some of the big challenges within that bigger picture, people who are passionate about what they do. And to refer to the quote of Margaret Albright, I think what we're potentially looking for are people that are, as she would have said about herself, optimists who worry a lot, or impatient optimists, as you could say, people that want to change the world, that believe that it's possible, but are very conscious, critical, and thoughtful about how to achieve that change. I guess my very personal point, I'm someone who's never had a career plan, so I always feel that I'm the worst possible advice in terms of how to follow, to really strategically think about where you want to go next. But I guess what is really a good idea in any event is to do something that you love, to do it with passion, to allow yourself to fail and learn from failure, and to work with others who inspire you. So I think if you're able to do that also in the philanthropic sector, you're probably off to a very exciting career, and you'll be able to contribute a lot, I think, to doing some good work.